Hello, my friends. Jeffrey Shao here from Grow to Your Potential. As we continue our journey towards addressing the 5 dysfunctions of a team, today I would like to expose a major misconception about how healthy teams operate. To do this, allow me to explore some rather interesting findings from studies done on one of the most critical teams out there, that of marriage. A study was done to figure out what people should do to help ensure a long-lasting marriage. Their approach? Study marriages that ended in divorce and look for commonalities. Here's what they found. Among the divorced couples, a large number of them reported regular fights. And the types I'm referring to here are those of verbal conflict. They would argue a lot. Recognizing this commonality, the researchers hypothesized 2 things. First, that a further review of divorced couples would likely reveal very few with an absence of conflict. Secondly, happily married couples would have very few conflicts. What they would find surprised them. Not only did they find couples getting divorced who reported very few conflicts, happily married couples reported engaging in conflict on a regular basis. Obviously, there's more going on here than meets the eye. Let's explore this further. This is a conflict continuum. On the right side, we have the type of conflict that likely comes to mind first. Unhealthy conflict that's ripe with personal attacks, insults, and criticisms. The type of conflict that degrades people and just shuts down conversations. In other words, this side of the continuum represents conversation hell. Something to avoid, to be sure. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the absence of conflict. This might be the place where you would expect the conversations to be the healthiest. Think again. I call this side of the continuum artificial harmony. On the surface, everything looks great and peaceful. And yet, when you look deeper, we find things like frustration and misery, hurt and judgment. Interestingly, even though on the surface, these 2 ends of the spectrum look very different, when you peel back the surface, they look very much the same. You see, healthy teams, like healthy marriages, do not avoid conflict. They embrace it. However, they do so by avoiding either end of the spectrum and landing roughly in the middle at the place I call ideal conflict or healthy conflict. In this type of conflict, people share what they're thinking. They express their ideas and concerns and feelings. They let their opinion be known to others, sharing the information they have along with their perspective. In turn, they listen to what others have to say. They consider the information presented, and the conflict stays focused on the ideas and thoughts presented, while avoiding personal attacks. So if this is the ideal, why is it that so many teams camp out in the artificial harmony zone? Well, for one, it feels and looks safer and healthier. Secondly, when you're at that end of the continuum, as you look at the alternatives, you don't see that healthy conflict in the middle. Rather, you see that conversation hell. And every step that you take towards that middle ground is a step closer to conversation hell, the place no one really wants to go. Now, it's true that in pursuit of that ideal conflict, that middle ground, there will be times when a team member crosses the line and apologies are needed to get back into the right place. But that does not mean a team should avoid aiming for that sweet spot in conflict, as even those moments of crossing the line will work to strengthen the team as the process of apologizing and owning the missteps serves to build trust. I'll leave you with this. How would you rate your team's ability to engage in conflict? If you and your team all agree you have found that sweet spot in the middle, great. My only advice would be to understand what it is you are doing right so you can keep on doing it. If you're one of the countless teams that's living in artificial harmony or stuck in communication hell, hear me now. There is hope. You too can experience the benefits that come from healthy conflict. It is real, it is possible, and likely much faster and easier to obtain than you might think. Let's talk, and I'll show you how. Join me again next week as we explore the role of commitment as we continue our journey to address the 5 dysfunctions of a team.